I've been blessed to know a lot of people in this music scene, and I met Bree in 2018. We did a Rolling Stones tribute show,
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
dope.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and she sang, and I was like, man, that's a good singer. And then she was in another band, and it didn't work out. She's moving on, and I just thought, man, if she's available, I'm snatching her up
Aw.
for sure. And then we were talking about that. I had some other friends. We were at an open jam, and like, yeah, she's a real deal. So as soon as she was available, I said, man, let's get something together. I know some people.
Yeah.
Brian is just a great guitarist, great musician, and he just, he actually recorded us and
Yeah, he is
mixed
amazing.
and mastered us. So, um, and
Yeah.
and he won't give himself all that credit
No,
or anything, and
no.
he won't even he doesn't know how good he is.
He
at that
doesn't.
stuff,
He
so.
doesn't.
Okay.
He's awesome.
Yeah, when I was hearing the song, seeing that there's like another pop punk kind of thing taking place, I think that's really cool just because for like a few years, I felt like I was seeing like if any type of rock thing was taking place, it was mainly just like a really pop alternative wave thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, when is there going to be more of like a punk thing that happens again?
Oh yeah.
Or even like a just a pop rock thing. So there was like one or two other bands that I saw like a few months ago. Then I see this kind of thing taking place. And I'm like, great. There seems to be like this whole new like era going on or
Yeah.
something. So I just
Yeah.
think it's really cool that you guys are
Oh,
doing
yeah.
what you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that I've always been like influenced by pop punk.
Yeah.
Bands like Blink-182, Green Day, All American Rejects, I fucking love. So I grew up on that. And I think when you are at an age like 12, 13, 14, the music that you listen to, I feel like you're going to listen to that your whole life. So like that's what I grew up on. And I knew that it's what I wanted like my sound to be like. And I had tried like Stevie Nicks, I had tried to cover like all these different people. And what I realized is that's not who I was. And I think like bands like Paramore and shit we get compared to, but I think it needs to come back. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I one thing I can relate to with that is I was starting to get into bands that were more like blues rock and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But what I like grew up on and got into was, I mean, there was like the Beatles I was introduced to
That's
that
my favorite band of all time.
they got me into music, but
Absolutely,
what
yeah.
made me want to like really pick up guitar and like everything and like fully immerse into it was when I
Yeah.
heard like American Idiot,
Yes.
heard Dookie,
Yes.
heard all this
I feel
stuff,
like that's
and I
what you
was
start
like,
with is Green Day.
yeah, it's
absolutely.
it was a great foundation, and then like going up from there, and so
Yep.
like I was like the blues rock and everything, that's a great thing, but I was like going back into like what I just first got into.
Yeah.
That seems to always be like the full driving force of
Yeah,
like
it's just that
this is what you
angst
should get
and-
into.
Yes, and it's just like you have something to say and it's important to you, and I just love everything about that. So
I just think about what I was listening to when I was like 12, 13 was like Mudvayne and Slipknot. And,
Yeah,
and
you were totally in
Disturbed.
like
Yeah.
metal and all that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
funny how I feel like just I would say within the past year and a half or so, I've really kind of been on the pop punk kick and
Yeah.
just thinking, man, that's kind of also like my drumming style. I feel like can really complement the
Yep.
pop punk
Yep.
genre.
Yep. Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, going back into everything you've done though, like I think if anyone watched this that isn't already kind of aware of like a lot of your background and everything,
Yeah.
for one, you've played in a ton of cover bands. You're kind of like you're like the drummer of like the scene right now
Yeah.
of like a lot of different bands. But even going back into like your band with your brother from like
Yeah.
Henrietta, kind of fill people in if they're not exactly familiar with that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I started drumming in 2005, and I started just playing at my church. My youth pastor was taught me the basics, and I learned on a left-handed kit actually. So I was playing left hand like on a whole left-handed kit for 4 years.
Wow.
Woof.
Yeah. So I decided, dude, I don't want to be like taking somebody's kit and just flipping it around
Yeah.
every time I have to play.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, me and Nick, I mean, after like youth group at church, I would just get on the drums, and then Cody Secor, who plays guitar in our band now, we would just jam And there were some times, so I grew up in a trailer. And so I would set up my drums in the middle of the living room. And Cody would have his like 20-watt amp or whatever just cranked up as loud as it could get. And Nick would be like screaming through a guitar amp, some cheap mic.
Yeah.
Mom would come home on her lunch, go, what's going on? And that's how Henrietta started.
Oh my gosh.
And God, man, it's crazy to look back just how much we've grown together. But yeah, I mean, that was really what kind of got me into the music scene. I was fortunate to be around a lot of people who are still playing. Matt Kotnick,
Yeah.
Fantastic guitarist, but I knew him as a drummer.
Yeah.
And he was the one who really kind of helped launch me into the music scene and get involved into the music scene. Skunk's Nest back in the day in Niles.